Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Slaying Hope. And come to give y'all some game real quick. You know, I'm always spreading the game. I'm always spreading the information that some people might not know about. So, you know, and I'm here to talk about Joe Biden's policy, right? I should have been made a video about this, but I just wanted to well, I was doing other things and but I'm gonna make a video about the whole crack policy, right? A lot of people, of course, I said this to us before. I said black folks are very emotional, when it comes to a lot of things. Black people are very, very, very emotional. We're emotional voters, we're emotional this, we're emotional that. um so when this stuff came out, Bronx in the building, okay. So when this stuff came out about the crack pipes, a lot of people got in their bag, right? Like a lot of black people specifically got in their bag, you know, because they didn't really understand what was going on. They don't A lot of times when people don't understand certain things, they react a certain way. Um so this is what I wanted to say. A lot of us, I studied drugs and behavior when I was in school, right? This was one of the classes that I took about the effects that drugs have on the mind and in the behavior of people. And when there's this documentary, I'm gonna put the link in the bottom, right, in the description in the bio below. It's called Breaking the Taboo. It's actually on YouTube. It's called Breaking the Taboo. And in the Breaking the Taboo, it speaks about drugs, right? It speaks about how United States is the number one importer of illegal drugs in the world. You know, it's the number one importer. Make sure y'all like the video so it can circulate. Not for me, not because you like me, so it can circulate. Because this is good. This is real information that people need to know, right? This is information about drugs, right? And about the whole policy thing. Now, United States is kind of new to changing the laws around some of these drugs. One, a lot of drugs that are illegal today used to be legal. And you're probably going to see that in the documentary that I encourage y'all to click the link. Once I post it, I encourage y'all to click the link and watch the documentary because it speaks about how a lot of drugs used to be legal. And then they got they got illegalized, right? They got banned and they got taken out. So I want to give you an example before I go into. Yes, he cut HBCUs. Make sure y'all like the video because I'm about to give y'all some game. This is like real game right here. I don't got to be doing this. You know what I'm saying? But this is real game. This is information that could help y'all. Exactly. I got you. So anyway, in Breaking the Taboo, they speak about how America, right? If you go to Colombia to get a kilo of coke in Colombia is about $1,000. It costs about $1,000 in Colombia to get a kilo of coke. By the time it makes it to the United States, it is anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000, right? That's how much a kilo of coke will cost you. It's $1,000 to go get it in Colombia, and by the time it makes it through whatever it makes it to get into the country, is worth way more than that, right? So make sure you like the video so it can circulate. So with that being said, everybody outside the countries are trying to get their illegal drugs into America. Why? Because there's so much money in drugs in America, right? So boom, the whole part of this giving out crack pipes thing, that's not new. That's something that they've been doing in other countries. They've been doing that in Europe. They've been doing that in places like Switzerland, Spain. Spain actually decriminalized, I think Spain or Portugal, don't get me wrong. I think Portugal also decriminalized all those illegal drugs, meaning that you can't go to jail for just smoking them or having a social issue, which was something that was being done in America. In America, actually, Bill Clinton when he passed that bill in 1994, right? Part of the crime bill was if you are a crack smoker in housing, you don't deserve to have a house. A lot of times people who was only smoking crack got locked up and went to jail, right? And all they had was a drug addiction problem, but the system treated them like criminals. Make sure you like the video because it's not matching up, so it could circulate just so other people could get a wind of what I'm talking about. It's not for me, it's about the information. Now, Yes. So they started targeting people who had social issues, and they was locking them up like criminals. So in a lot of other countries, this documentary is called Breaking the Taboo, and it speaks about when you have a social issue. Bill Clinton also spoke about this, right? He said he was wrong about targeting or militarizing and locking up and the war on drugs. Bill Clinton speaks about it in the documentary. He says the war on drugs, he said the war on drugs actually made a bigger problem. It locked up way too many people. It created a bigger issue and never really solved anything. This is what Bill Clinton said, right? Somebody that actually kind of like signed this law, right, or introduced this law. So he said he realized he messed up. He was wrong. So anyway, the whole point is this: when they realize criminalizing people who use drugs is not the solution, other countries started taking different approaches. So in some countries, for example, in Switzerland, like the video so it could circulate, please. And it's way more people in here than the likes. In Switzerland, for example, they had a big, the documentary is a little old. It's probably about like 9 years old, but it still applies. In Switzerland, for example, a lot of people were contracting HIV at one period. Why? Because a lot of ways that HIV transmits is through injection. And a lot of people in Switzerland was injecting drugs into their veins. So because they was injecting drugs into their veins, a lot of people were contracting HIV. So not only did they have one problem, they had two problems that they was combating: HIV infections and drug addiction problems. So what they did in Switzerland was they allowed places, and the reason why people were contracting HIV is because they're using dirty needles and they're sharing them, because they don't have access to clean ones, or maybe they couldn't buy them nowhere. So what they did in Switzerland, come on, y'all gonna like the video, y'all just gonna, cause look, I see the numbers going up, but nobody really liking it. Other people need this information too, because a lot of people got emotional, and a lot of people assume it was racist. I seen people post all type of stuff. Oh, Biden is racist because he everybody started making jokes and memes about the crack stuff. But it's like black people don't even realize white people smoke more crack than black people. That's the crazy shit. The crazy thing is we like black people took that as an attack because they feel like they the only they the only ones that smoke crack. White people smoke crack too, probably at higher rates. Like, but if we don't know that, if everything that's pushed in the media is black people, you only see black crackheads in your neighborhood, you don't know that white people smoke crack too. Mad crack. A lot of people, if you're from New York City, a lot of drug dealers actually went, you know what I'm saying? A lot of drug dealers actually went from the city to the upstate suburbs to sell drugs. A lot of people went to Watertown. A lot of people went to a lot of them spots to sell drugs for a higher price. Who do you think they were selling the drugs to? White people. You know what I'm saying? White people get high, man. You know what I'm saying? Some people could afford to I knew some functional crackheads, you know what I'm saying? Or crack smokers. You know what I'm saying? They ain't have to steal their mama TV. They ain't have to steal VCRs. They ain't have to do certain things for the drugs because they was functioning addicts. Um, so don't get it twisted, man. Like other people, white people smoke crack probably at a higher rate than black people. It's just the reason is black people can't support their drugs a lot of times. So anyway, what they did in Switzerland, they built up places where people could come and use clean needles. So they could keep getting high or whatever. And if they wanted to stop, like they helped them stop. And if people didn't want to stop, they allow them to do it in a safe way. So this is not something new. A lot of people think this whole shit is something new, like allowing people to get syringes and crack pipes or certain things is something new. It's not really new. Now the crack pipe thing is a little iffy because you're not injecting something into your thing. Now the syringes is, I get it, because they go into your bloodstream. It's easier to transmit whatever, HIV, all types of hepatitis. There's a whole bunch of stuff that could get transmitted into your bloodstream. Good looking. So, like I was saying, in Switzerland, they built the facilities. The first thing that they did was they decriminalized people using drugs. That's one thing. Heroin and crack is not the same thing. So Heroin, I think, comes from the poppy plant. I'm not sure. I don't know. It might come from the poppy plant. Crack is like, it's like cocaine and cooked up. So anyway, so the whole point is this, right? The whole point is this, right? They built, the first thing that they did in other countries is they stopped decriminalizing drug use. So people who have a drug addiction problem, it's not fair that you sending them to prison. That's not fair. They have a social issue. They need other type of assistance. They don't need to go to prison. Um, so anyway, first thing that they did, they decriminalized the use of drugs. The second thing they did, they built up facilities where they could get clean products, or were able to save, or able to do the drugs in a safe way. Good looking, brother. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate this. So they open up places, not just in Switzerland. They did this also in Portugal. They did it in a lot of other places, right? So there's a council of people who study drugs and behavior and are going around to different nations who have incarceration problems surrounding drugs, like the United States. So they went to different leaders and they tried to tell them this does not work. And the United States, of course, they make money off people going to prison. So they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to decriminalize drugs, but they slowly doing it. They slowly doing it. But when you watch some of these documentaries, they will show you that a lot of drugs, especially in the United States, used to be legal. It used to be legal to do MDMA, LSD, marijuana. Like a lot of those things used to be legal, right? And they used to actually have labs, and they used to test the drugs and the drug use and all of that stuff. And then they shut down the labs, and then it was a lot of propaganda. So I don't want to make this too long. I don't want to go into like the whole stuff, because I want y'all to go watch the documentary and what they're talking about. Make sure y'all like the video. The likes is not going up, but the numbers is going up. So if we want more people to come into the room, please like the video. Again, it's about the information. Yeah, definitely. The cocaine used to also be in Coca-Cola, right? And then, it got highly addictive, and they kind of like shied away from cocaine, and now they got caffeine, and caffeine is also addictive. But yeah, now what drugs were legal? Most of the drugs was legal: marijuana, MDMA, which is ecstasy, LSD. It's a whole bunch of drugs. So anyway, the whole point, they decriminalized the drug use. They created facilities for people to have safe usage of the drugs, right, without being harmful. And I appreciate everybody that's liking the video. I really appreciate y'all, because I like the information to get out. It's not because it makes me feel good. It's just about we all learning together. Another thing with the drugs is, so boom, so they've been doing this in other countries, right? And also, so let me give you an example. When they made the drugs illegal, it made more people start doing the drugs. I know it sounds crazy, but let me give you an example. When they had the alcohol prohibition in the United States, when they banned alcohol from being produced or from being sold, when they did that, when they banned alcohol at one period, some of us don't really know, right? I believe it was the 21 Amendment. It might have been the 21st Amendment. Alcohol prohibition. It was banned in the United States. You know what people did? A lot of people started making alcohol in their house or in their basement. This is how the mob, Al Capone, I believe, in Chicago, one of the ways he got rich, one of the ways the mob got rich, they started on a low key. It wasn't just the numbers and the gambling. It was also, they was selling alcohol. They was making alcohol. They was selling alcohol. But what started happening is, when they started selling the illegal alcohol or the made up alcohol in their cribs, you're not gonna make it the same way that they're gonna make it at a factory. So what started happening is people started dying. A lot of people started dying from the hooch or the fake alcohol that they started making. So that created a bigger problem in the United States. The fact that more people got hooked, more people wanted to drink alcohol. It's like that, right? When you tell a child not to do something, not to touch something, not to get involved with something, they want to go do it more. That's why when you tell your kids, don't do sex, don't have this, don't have that, you want to do it more. You know what I'm saying? You want to, you become inquisitive, right? Like you become curious about why they keep telling me not to do this, right? Like, what is the big problem? So that's kind of like what happened. When they prohibited alcohol, a lot of people started using alcohol more. So a lot of people got more involved, and because they wasn't making it in a good way, a lot of people was dying because of it. You know what I'm saying? Because they was, I don't know what they was putting in the alcohol, how they was doing it, but they obviously was doing it wrong, and a lot of people was dying. Even to this day, a lot of people die from alcohol, right? From liver. So a lot of bad stuff started happening. So because a lot of people were dying and it became a bigger social issue, what they did was they re-legalized alcohol because it created another problem. So it's almost kind of like the same thing, right? The drugs used to be legal, then they made them illegal, which led to more people actually using them, which led to people actually paying more money to acquire these drugs, right? Which is this is why I started the whole conversation with telling you that the coke, a kilo of coke in Colombia is only $1,000, right? And then by the time it makes it to the United States, it's worth $50,000. That could change your whole. That could change my whole life. No, it's between $50,000 to $200,000. So again, when you prohibit access to certain things, it costs more money. It's harder to get it. You know how it goes. It's like a pair of sneakers. When you can't get your hands on a pair of sneakers, when you can't get your hands on certain materials or certain things, people always gonna charge you an extra price just to get it, right? If I'm the only one that got this water bottle, you know what I'm saying, or I produce them in some way, right? And they don't got them nowhere else, and you like the functions of it, of course, I could make some extra money. I could be like, yo, well, if you get it from me, you know what I'm saying, I'll give you this much. I mean, you give me this much, and I got you. So anyway, so the whole point is, I was just trying to tell people, like, a lot of people got emotional, a lot of people got in their feelings, especially black people, and I feel like, yo, like, we got to change our narrative, right? We're not the only people. Black people is not the only people who smoke crack, right? Like, a lot of other people smoke crack. A lot of other people, especially white people. I'm talking about white people. Yes, a lot of white folks smoke crack, like, and we don't know it. A lot of times, if you live in New York City, or if you live in certain concentrated urban areas, a lot of times you don't see it. Yeah, I hear you, Michael Green. I'm not. This video was not to refute that there's is a, again, the whole budget is about harm reduction. So I don't know what the whole thing entails. I just know everybody started talking about crack use. That's the main thing everybody was talking about. Everybody was just like, oh, this is racist, this is this is that. And all I'm trying to say is this: in a whole bunch of other countries before the United States, they've been, another thing that the video shows. That video breaking the taboo. Make sure y'all like the video as y'all come in. It's like $30 million. The budget. It's a budget for harm reduction, and part of the harm reduction plan is to give out syringes for drug, syringes and crack pipes for safe drug use. So one of the things that the documentary proved is that when they made facilities for people to use drugs in a clean way, when they allowed them to do it, that it lowered the numbers of drug use. It actually lowered. It's something psychologically that goes on. For example, like I mentioned, kids. When you tell your kids you can't do certain things, they want to do it. But when you have a different type of conversation with them about the harms and the risks, they are making a conscious decision. Now it's different. It's something different that takes place. That's why when you're educating your children, don't just tell them no because I said so. Don't tell them don't do this because I said so. Try to explain to them the harms and the benefits. People, at the end of the day, people want autonomy, right? People want to be able to make their own decisions. People don't want to be forced to do nothing. I'm myself, I'm rebellious. When somebody specifically tells me I can't do something, I get rebellious. That's just human nature. A lot of times we don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be talked down to. We want to have the options. So what these countries notice, what these countries notice, exactly, curiosity could get you in trouble. What these countries notice is when they allow people, exactly, strict rules create sneaky behavior. When what these countries notice, these countries that decriminalize drug use and allow people to use facilities to do their drugs, they realize less and less people started to not want to use them. They started to, when they was just being educated about the risk and what things could happen and what they could lead to, but they allowed them to make their own choices. It changed their behavior on their own. They wanted to make the change because they felt like they were the ones making the choice. It wasn't somebody telling them you can't do this. And that changes a lot. You know what I'm saying? Some people might not agree, but it actually does. So the documentary is about that. Um, yeah. So the documentary is basically about that. It's basically about having a different approach to drugs. This is something that Clinton spoke about. He said he was sorry. He said that he didn't realize that police and militarization and all of those things were the wrong way to tackle drugs. Bro, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro. Like JC, you getting out of here, man. You start getting on my nerves. But yeah, bro, like dudes be coming out of nowhere talking about some whole other stuff, man. Like, get up out of here. I'm saying people trying to educate people about certain things, and people be bringing conversations from like a whole nother live or from like 2 years ago, and want to like, come on, bro. Like we talking about some whole other different stuff. But anyway, the whole point of this thing was that if sometimes when you open up your mind to look at things differently and look at other things, you'll get a better understanding. Sometimes we don't, again, when we first hear things, we are very emotional as a people. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When we first hear things, the first thing is an emotional response. The first thing we do is we think we're being attacked. We think somebody like coming at us. We think somebody trying to harm us. Like we just get on defense mode. Sometimes you actually got to really listen and realize like what is really happening, what is taking place. Now, can we argue like, oh, why you putting so much money into this? Can we argue like, oh, other things need money too? Yeah, we could make those arguments. But I just wanted to highlight that the documentary Breaking the Taboo, I'm gonna put the link in the bio in the description, and you're gonna see what other countries did and how they tackle their drug issues and how it actually has helped those countries. It actually reduced the drug use rate of whatever drug they was trying to like tackle. And also it didn't, excuse me, it actually broke the violence too, right? Because it in the documentary they talk about how a lot of times trying to fight drugs and drug use leads to a lot of violence and death and incarceration. So they talked about how all those numbers went down, the violence went down, the incarceration went down, and more importantly, the drug use went down. Um, so I hope y'all appreciate it. I hope y'all appreciate the live. I hope y'all share it. The documentary, I'm gonna put the link in the description so y'all get to watch it yourselves. Y'all can also come back here and tell me what y'all think about it. Um, if you just coming in and you just watching it live, like you should probably rewatch it. But the documentary link is gonna be in the description. I encourage all of y'all to see it, just so y'all can get an idea of like what other countries are doing and how they are tackling drugs. So if I say anything that was beneficial, it came from me. No, bugging. If I say anything that was beneficial, it came from the knowledge that God has taught me. Um, going to college, studying, taking certain classes, and just being open-minded about new information that people give me. If I said anything that wasn't beneficial and I messed up in any way or I hurt somebody's feelings, it came from me. I'm flawed. Sometimes the way I communicate comes a little strong, a little harsh, but I don't mean no harm. All I mean is love. And I'm trying to get people to be able to be in a position to kind of like help ourselves and our families and our loved ones and our communities. So that being said, peace out. I'm gonna holla at y'all. Y'all be safe and stay hyper vigilant out there. Watch out. Peace.